Well, we
So,
have XCOM, and we have Haynes, and Red Zones in the other line as well.
okay.
So I got you
Yes.
guys on here to talk about the draft and see what you guys thought about your players and stuff like that. We'll keep it short. We'll keep it like within an hour, our talk.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
And XCon, I know you were doing that drafting last time, round by round, but you didn't get a chance to do it this year.
Yeah, so yeah, I had family over last week, so it was a bit of a rush job the draft this time around. So yeah, nothing in quite as neat a format as the last couple of years.
So let me find out where is it? Here we go.
So, how are you predicting future overalls, XCOM?
Yeah, so I think it's similar to. I think it feels like I'm not the only one who's ever tried this, but it's basically just a regression model. So you kind of just feed the machine learning algorithm all the variables that go into all the scouting ratings, the min maxes, that kind of thing.
So you're
Um,
just so you're
okay.
taking combines or bars or what, and
Uh,
comparing other
exactly,
players and how they turned out to how you think this guy will turn out.
exactly. So yeah, both of those. So combine and bars, pretty much. So the lows and the highs, and then a few other bits and pieces in there as well. So like the your intelligence and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then I break that up. So the other thing I've got in there is just a flag by position. So it also treats every position type slightly differently. So obviously it doesn't compare, say, a tight end has very different metrics that turn it into a better future overall than, say, a quarterback is. So it takes that into account too. But yeah, I'm not. I guess I kind of like doing this as for me, it's a nice way of ranking the players, but it's pretty similar, I think, as most people in the league are probably using the draft analyzer anyway. It's basically doing the same thing. I guess it's just my personal draft analyzer.
Well, it works out
Yeah.
good because of two of my players that you said are going to land within 2 years, have land within reason of what you predicted.
Oh no, I'm glad it's working for somebody then.
Yes, because
No,
I went
that's
back. I
great.
went
Yeah,
back over your ratings and how you did it, and then I checked my guys, and I'm like, oh, it's like almost on par.
nice, very good. I think it definitely has a tendency, and I know Wolfpack has done something very similar to what I've done, and I know it definitely has a tendency to under forecast the absolute top guys. So if there's a real great looking player, the model's typically going to say that he'll not be as good as he actually is going to be. I think in this draft, the example was the tackle Preston Witt. I think he went number 4. And yeah, like I think my model was calling him 79.
This
And
guy
in
right here.
reality, yeah, in reality, he's basically perfect as far as I can see. So he's probably going to be better than 79, I would guess.
Hmm.
But
That's
yeah, so
probably good that it underestimates versus the other
true.
direction.
True. Although on the other end of the scale, to be fair, if you're sort of in the 30s, it tends to over forecast those ones a little bit. But I guess down that end, you're trying to avoid choosing those players anyway, so probably
Right.
less
Right.
important.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, I mean,
I just
I've got those scores up anyway, so I've got them up if
I
we end
just
up
think it's
going
interesting
to
you're predicting an overall. You know, the analyzer is
Mm.
going to show you bars, but I mean, they're not really telling you what the overall is going to be. I just was
True.
curious how you're coming up with those numbers, but I guess if you're taking past history and just kind of this guy had the same bars, and this is how he turned out. This guy had the same combines, that's how he turned out. That makes sense.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
well, I just got thrown off where I just found out the combine scores change. That's why I posted before. So I thought your combine stayed the same forever, and
No,
your bars changed. So if your combines are changing, so
that's why
someone
your
like
bars change.
yes. So I was thinking like my quarterback is a 14 arm, and I wanted someone with a strong arm. He's now 11. So basically, it's that much of a flexibility, that much of a variety.
Well, this has just started to be something that's talked about. and this is about the third conversation I've been involved with it. So I'm still kind of feeling my way. I think everybody is. I don't think there's anybody that has this really nailed down. This is exactly what happens, and this is when and why and how. I don't think that's going on just yet. Most of us are still guessing, but the thing that I think most people disagree on is those combines have dropped. So does that mean he's going to drop this year at preseason week 2 or next year? And I don't think anybody has that answer. I think there's people with different opinions on when that's going to happen and if it's going to happen. It's not necessarily a be-all to end-all thing just because his combines went down. You know, if he has a great soul score, you know, and that drops, does that mean that his read defense is going to drop? Does that mean that his avoid interceptions is going to be worse? You know, I mean, what's going to be affected and when? I don't think anybody has that exactly nailed down. I just think that when you look at the combines, the fact that they dropped isn't a good sign, and you should be scratching your head thinking, okay, should I still count on this guy or not? I think
because here's the confusion part. I draft players based upon their combine. Of course, they're bars, but they're combine. So if those combines are going to constantly change, then how are you really figuring out who's good? If someone has, let's say a quarterback has agility for short passes is 6 point something, which is great, but now it's going to be 8. That means his short passing is going to be crappy?
I don't think it's going to change every season, and I don't think you're going to see big changes even if it does change every season. But I do think that there are workout warriors that go to the combines and just have a great day. And that's not really the player there. Now, in the past, those guys have dropped right away. You know, in this particular version of the game, perhaps that's something that's happening a little slower.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise.
I'll bet you that your quarterback that you're talking about won't go from 14 to 11 this year and drop from 11 to 8 next year.
I hope not.
I'll bet he stays at 11.
Well, his long passing is high on the bar. And here he is, but I'm just saying to myself, what is going on here?
It's frustrating. I mean, there are a lot of things that I've had people tell me all about. If you want to run the ball, there's a rule of 400. Your 5 offensive linemen have to have run block bars that add up to 400. That's an average of 80. Okay, so if you got a bunch of 80 run block guys, you're going to run the ball. So I go grab a bunch of them guys, and then they say, well, your cohesion sucks. That's why you can't run the ball. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I mean, I just went and did what you all said was the key to the kingdom here. And now I turn around and you're telling me there's another key. So, some of this stuff it overlaps. All of these things are modifiers. How many modifiers are in this game? 15, 20, 25? I mean, I'd have to sit down and think for a minute and add them up. But, I mean, you can't possibly have all of them all of the time.
No, but I like to know if I draft a quarterback that has that has a strong arm, he's going to have a strong arm until he gets older and then decreases at that point. But not my next season, he goes from a 14 to an 11, and his soulmate goes from 30-something, mid-30-something to 28.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah. So that was just a shocker. Now some lesson learned.
With my QB, he may do the same things. I don't know.
So let's go into what's that?
I was just going to say those ratings, the combine numbers, will affect the bars related to the player's physical attributes, right?
Right.
Okay, that's what I thought. So it's nothing related to intelligence or any of the other bars.
Well, the soul score can change, which changes your. I don't know about intelligence, but it changes your avoid interceptions.
True.
So, so you guys want to talk about the draft?
Sure.
Well, we can talk about your guys that you guys pick on the first round. We can start with XCOM, with Harlem, which we thought your team, by the way, XCOM, was going to be in the top 2 this year. Well, last season. We never got the chance to play that video that we did, our chat. because it didn't take. But yeah, we talked about every
Probably for
team.
the best.
Talked about every team, but we saw you as a strong GM doing this thing.
Yeah, I think it's a funny one. I think since I joined in this league, and it's the first time I've done multiplayer. Um, we've been pretty much the most mediocre team that there's been. I think we started 10-6, and then we've had 8-8, 8-8, and 7-9. So I think it kind of goes what you guys were just talking about then. I think there's so many different moving parts sort of going at one time that I seem to try to fix one thing, and then I just completely screw up something else somewhere else. So I was wrestling with my game plan a bit last season and that kind of thing, but yeah, we just completely fell off a cliff towards the end of last year. I think we started maybe with 5 wins, and then I think we were 5-2, sorry, and then we basically ended up winning 2 games for the rest of the season. So yeah, not a great finish.
Yeah, this is how. Oh wait, go back to. There you go. Yeah, that's how you
That's
finish.
a lot of red.
Now you're in the market for a left tackle, we assume, or was it just
Yeah,
the best player?
a mixture of both. I think I had a guy. I think it's Howard Gregory. He's called, or maybe it's Gregory Howard. I've forgotten which way around it is. But yeah, he was getting towards the end of his career, and so I knew I was going to need to invest in a tackle at some point soon. And then Booker fell, so I thought, well, he was a mix of best player available, and if I didn't make this pick this year, then I was probably going to have to make it next year anyway. So just fast forwarded it to this one. I was kind of hoping the tight end, Tyrus White, was going to be available.
Oh, this one right here.
Yeah, I like this guy a lot. Really did like this guy. And the cornerback Rick O'Neal as well was on my list, but with both of those gone, and the receivers gone as well, which wasn't really a surprise. I think it was Wilkerson and Musial I was hoping for, but all those forward gone. So yeah, Booker was best player available for me.
Was
on my board.
Was your quarterback getting hit a lot? I like this quarterback, by the way. Your quarterback, Joyner.
Yeah, he's done well since we got into since we picked him up. Definitely, I mean he's usually in the top 10 in terms of yards every year. I think we just have, or at least last season we had a big disconnect between total yards and actual scoring. So I'm not sure if I'm just doing something wrong in the red zone, and I'm not sure if maybe it's his third down. His third down stats maybe are hurting me in some way. But yeah, it's a funny one. So we're going to have to make a decision on him sooner than later, because
he does look good, and you have gotten a lot out of him.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried though. He's asking for I think $65 million a year.
Well, get ready. Anytime you have a good QB in this league, it's look what Ladner's contract is on my team, and he threw 25 picks last year.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I mean, I'm sort of hoping if a great quarterback comes along who's a bit younger, then I'd pick him up. But yeah, that doesn't happen.
If he only wants 30 or 40 million, you should jump on that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So I'm just pulling it up on my screen now. He's asking for 66.
Okay.
66 a year for 3 years.
Who are we talking about?
Up wrong. His QB
Joyner.
wants $66 million a year.
Oh, your QB.
Mm.
And Ladner is making 68, and then it drops. He gave me a break on a extension, so I took it. But it was up to like 80 or 90.
Weren't you at or near the top red zone on quarterback salary?
I had to be. Yeah, had to be. Last year it had to. I'm trying to remember what it was last season. It had to be 80 or 90 total.
Your quarterback's salary's not that bad.
No, I just extended him. He gave me a break.
Okay.
Yeah, you are now looks like 6th or 7th
I was
For
going to
the
say
top-
probably closer to
top
middle of the
pay.
pack than at the top. But yeah, last year I'll bet you we were at the top. I bet we were. I want to say his salary was in the 50s and his bonus was in the 30s. And it was pushing, it was either 88 or 90 million total. And look what he did to earn that money.
Now I have a question for XCOM. You don't mind that you have no workout on the combine for this player?
So yeah, so my this is the complicated bit. I don't know exactly how it gets to this number, but yeah, generally speaking, no. As long as everything else lines up, it doesn't really bother me.
Got it.
See, that's something that everybody has their own little thing on. I know people that won't take a no combine player in round one, or at least in the top 10. And then I know people that jump on them anytime they see them. They're like, oh, that's a tip off. He's going to be a good player. Look at the bars he's got, they're going to hold. And I'm like, how do you know?
I did it once and never again.
What happened? He tanked?
He didn't tank, but he never developed. I mean, he just never got to what his combines and what his bars represented. I mean, he was projected to be like a 70 rated. It was a left tackle, and he never got above like 50, 48. It was frustrating to watch that because I ended up having to replace him.
I just think it's a wild card, and you have to be willing to roll the dice and take the chance. But
Yeah.
I've seen it pay off, and I've also seen what you're saying. I don't know that I'd make a rule about it. Well, I'd never do this or never do that, but I think I'd have to look long and hard and be pretty convinced.
I'd do it in a late round, but I'd never do it in the first round again.
Well, maybe in second round, if he looks like he's going to be really good. But top 10, oof, that's
Here's your bookmark. You have another joiner doing your right tackle for you. Now you
Too
have
many joiners.
Booker, who's going to be in your left tackle. So you're building that line of yours.
Yeah, and we drafted a couple of guards last season as well. So Peyton Oki and Deshaun Davison.
well. If it makes you feel better, XCOM, since I sat here and questioned him, he's probably going to be an uber stud.
No, I definitely hear where you're coming from, though. And I think, like, there was another guy I was looking at that if he'd have been available, it'd have made my choice a lot harder. Thankfully, he wasn't. So I kind of like it sometimes when you got two players and someone just takes the other one. Definitely, it's easier to sleep that night. But there's another tackle, Lance Grybowski, went to Capital City, I think it was.
This guy right here.
And I loved him, loved everything about him. My only reservation was the intelligence, and I've already got Joyner, the other tackle, whose intelligence isn't great, and I didn't want to have two.
I hate dumb linemen. That's just.
I
my
mean,
thing.
Joyner's really dumb. His intelligence is 0, which is pretty bad, I think. So yeah, I couldn't bring myself to. I think ultimately I'd have probably picked Booker anyway because I couldn't bring myself to have two on the same line. But yeah.
All right. So you're just filling right now the holes that you have as well with your team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's usually with me. It's usually a mix of best player available and where do I need to fill for the next couple of years. Like if I got guys running out of contract, that kind of thing. I picked a defensive end in the third, I think it was, because my starter is basically done for now. He's got a long-term injury.
Oh, he's got good pass rush technique, run defense, and then pass rush strength. You should get a lot of hurries and stuff like that, which you want.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. We're going to talk to Haynes because his team almost went into the bowl. And he did a great job with his team. And that's who he picked up.
I had some luck along the way. Everything just kind of lined up. But, in many ways, the season was typical, like everybody else. The losing streak rolls in there, and you wonder how good the team is. So I started out 5-1, and then 3-game losing streak. But we won enough games at the end to get into the playoffs, and it worked out okay.
So was this linebacker best player available, or you needed a linebacker for your team?
Kind of like XCOM in many ways. And it's interesting when he tells his story. I think we started about the same time in the league, and I still am new to multiplayer. And then for the draft, so it was a combo of best player available and need. I picked at 26, so you kind of end up with what falls to you at that point. I have some defensive linemen that are older, and I'm letting their contracts run out. And this guy, based on his bars and kind of his physical characteristics, I'm actually going to move him to defensive end and be a pass rusher.
The linebacker.
Yeah. So I'm going to
Nice.
train him up a little bit, and put him on the right end and let him rush the passer. So that's my
You're a
that's
four.
my plan for this guy.
You're a 4-3.
Yeah, I'm a 4-3, correct.
Okay. Very nice. What do you guys think of him? Red Zone always has an opinion.
No. Don't start that.
Let's hear it, Red Zone.
Put him back up.
Who? Put a boo.
This linebacker.
He's right here.
Yeah, I'm looking. Let me pull him up on mine.
He's got great pass rush strength, pass rush technique. Very good run defense. He's got it all. Man to man, bump and run, punishing hit, endurance.
And normally when I look for
Shut
a
up,
linebacker, I'm looking for somebody with good pass coverage, good zone defense. And he doesn't have that. And for the reasons that I plan to use him, it doesn't matter.
Well, if the old trick works, comparing him right now to the league scout, I'm seeing 54 on my scout and 53 on the league, so you should be in good shape. He's at least going to hold. Now, predicting whether or not he'd go up preseason week 2 is tough, but the thing I look for the most in any linebacker is zone, but that's the defense I run. So he wouldn't work for me, but he may do great for you. He is an awesome run defender, and he can rush the passer. See,
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
play a lot
play
of
him as
cover
a-
too, and I don't blitz. So he's going to need that zone bar to play for me, or he won't even get on the field, and the blitzing isn't going to help because we don't do it. So it's a style thing, a fit thing for me. I do like the special teams and the fact that he has the endurance to be on the field a lot, and that punishing hitter bar could come in real handy. You got the bump bar; he can play in the goal line and inside the red zone if you're using a little bit more man to man down there.
No,
I mean, there's definitely pros and cons, but I see more pros than cons. Like I said, for me, he would just be a bad fit because of the style I run.
Now I heard punishing hits causes fumbles.
That is what people
Supposedly.
say. I
No
don't
one
know that
knows.
anybody's cracked it. I mean, can you actually prove that? It makes sense. If you reason it out in your mind, you're like, well, yeah, the harder he hits, more chance the ball pops loose.
I agree with the red zone. That's why I'll play him as a defensive end.
Oh, this guy's going to defensive end?
Yes, he's going to defensive end.
Okay, now I'm curious. Are you planning on doing the position changes? Because you'll probably have to go to outside linebacker first and then to defensive end.
Oh, is that how it works?
I don't know if will he position change straight to defensive end from inside linebacker?
I have no
Well,
clue.
let's get a look
Guys,
here.
give me a minute. I'll be right back.
I'm sorry, Haynes. Are you able to look at that?
Yeah, I've got the game pulled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's letting me change him to defensive
Really?
end.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can do that as long as you don't save the game. That change won't get saved. Have you tried doing
Right.
it? See what he looks like when he moves?
Actually, his that's awesome. So he went from a projected.
I have him 36-54.
He went up from a projected future 53 inside linebacker to a projected 65 right defensive end.
Okay, now before you do that position change, put weight on him.
Yeah, that's what I plan to do on
Okay,
training
because
camp.
257 is not heavy enough, and he's
Right.
only. What do you play? Do you play 4-3
Yeah, 4-3.
over
4-3
or
over.
over?
Over.
That's perfect. So right defensive end only has to be what 260 pounds.
Okay, I'm back.
I think even less than that. Let me check.
I think it's 260.
What are we talking about?
263 is 4-3 over right end. So he's perfect. He's going to fall pretty close to that if you weight train him. And the fact that he weighs, where did he go? I lost him. He weighs 257 now, so he's probably heavy, even for an inside linebacker.
Inside linebacker. Yeah, he's definitely
That
heavy.
means he will probably gain weight, and he'll probably end up where you want him. Now, here's the dilemma that I've always had. I've had people tell me this, and for years I was like, it doesn't matter. They say do the weight training in training camp, and make the position change in the next sim, and you'll get more.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. If you
Is
need
that how
to
you
do the
plan on
weight
doing it?
training, do that first.
is that how you plan on doing it in two separate sims?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll
Now-
be interesting to watch.
Rezzo, you said something before I stepped out for a minute. You said to make him go from inside linebacker to outside linebacker, then outside linebacker to defensive end. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
No, I don't have the ability to do the change position on his player, and I didn't want to go looking for another inside linebacker just to find out. I asked him to do it in game. He can go straight to it. But let's say I've seen people take an inside linebacker to, God, I think he took him to strong safety, or was it an outside guy? He had to position change him twice to get him there.
Okay.
So I've seen where that's happened. Let me pull up my team here.
Yeah, I can see that happening if you're trying to get an inside linebacker to safety.
Let's see.
I don't think you can go directly from.
Weak inside linebacker, change position. Yeah, so you can't. The only thing I can do with this, weight could also be a thing too, but the only thing I can do with this Doug Parrish is another linebacker position. But if I take him to strong side and I make that change, and then I go in and look at the options. Nah, see, he's too heavy. He's 244. That must be a weight thing. I just remember a guy doing it way back in the USFL. His name was Zebuk. And I guess somebody drafted a linebacker they didn't like. He said, I'll trade for him. And as soon as he traded for him, he says, I'm going to make him a safety. And everybody laughed. They're like, what are you talking about? And he says, I'm telling you, watch. And he took 2 position changes, but he was a monster strong safety.
See, it's something that we learn. That's why we do these chats.
Yeah, this is new to me. This is all good stuff.
Haynes, since you took your team far into the playoffs, you think your team's there right now to make that push to go over into the bowl?
If that defensive end turns out, it might be.
You know,
Or did you lose people in free agency that's going to hinder you a little bit? Because I see Max is holding out.
All my key players are intact. Yeah, Max, he's actually due for a pay raise. I brought him over under the whatever previous contract he had, and he was only getting $10 million a year. So that was
what's he want?
He wants 90 something million.
Yeah, that's
for 2 years.
11th year, almost 59 overall, almost 60 overall. That's about right.
Yeah.
Now you can probably play with that some, but you're not going to get it too far down.
Right. I've been trying to renegotiate with him before he even held out, and I was going too low. So now I got to pay up, but he's worth it. He's been good for me.
I liked him.
That's all it takes. The team working together. It's good that you kept your core guys intact and you didn't lose anybody. And now you're just adding this linebacker, which in the second year, he'll be helping out a lot for you. Because he's already at 60% developed. So definitely by the second year, he should be maybe at 90%.
Well, he's going to move him to defensive end.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he goes to what? 60-something future?
65.
69?
65.
65.
Yeah.
And the pass rush stays the same or goes up?
1 second.
I have no clue what you guys are looking at. I'm just listening.
Yeah, it stays the same.
Well, I'll tell you what. You put him in there with your other defensive end. You got Gorbranson at defensive tackle. That's not a bad defensive line at all.
Yeah, it's my defensive line has been solid. Durfee's holding out. He's been a stud. He's been my leading sacker. He's 100 pass rush technique.
Yep.
So he wants. My problem with him, he wants like a 5-year contract, and I don't know if I want to go that far out with the 8-year guy. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a little tough.
I might do something shorter with him, but I'll re-sign him, or
he'll be gone.
Renegotiate, or yeah.
Well, he gives you 19 incompletes because he has 19 hurries.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I look at.
So this draft is unique for me in that, I'm picking at 26. So I'm kind of, taking the best player available with, what falls and I've got these a couple of slots to fill on the defense. I ended up drafting all defense in this draft.
Who did he get in round 2?
Who did he get in round 2?
Should be cornerback.
Yeah, found him right here. He went after his interception.
Edwin Woodard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
he's future, 50 rated. He's got a great interception bar, decent man, decent zone defense bars, close to 100% endurance, close to 100% special teams.
Right.
So I think he's going to be solid back there.
And actually play the run.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice corner for your goal line, short yardage.
If he weighed more, you know, I'd think about moving him to safety, but because I actually need more help at safety, but I don't think he's quite there on weight.
You have the training camp file there. Will he gain weight?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, he will.
Yeah, I mean,
but we like a safety's over 200 pounds.
Or you at 4.3 over again, right?
Yeah, 4.3 over.
Strong safety and free safety are both 206.
Yeah, that's 16 pounds.
The question is, if he gained, I don't know, from 190, say he gains 8 pounds, that means he's 8 pounds off. That's probably not good enough. But if you gain 10 or 11, might be, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see you only have 2 safeties.
Right.
You need to get some safeties or convert some of these cornerbacks into safeties.
Yep. So that's,
that's the strong
another
safety now is only 197.
Well, you're in good shape. You have $94 million of capital.
You sure sign one.
Well, Dylan's going to take half of that.
That's true. You might take more than half, huh?
But in any event, you're in good shape to take care of your holes.
I got some potential to make some decent moves in the next few preseason weeks to get everything in ship shape. So.
Well, it's going to be fun seeing your team to see what they're going to do and also what XCon's team is going to do as well. Let's talk to Red Zone. I know he loves to talk about his. Did you have a first round? No, you did not,
no.
Right?
Nope. My first round pick was at tight end.
That's right. That's right. The tight end.
Who, all things considered, didn't play that badly.
No.
I mean, he didn't play great, but...
This is the person he's talking about, XCOM. You weren't there. I know Haynes knows about him. He got this player from, I think, T-Zac in a trade. And he traded his first-round pick to get this tight end, which is a solid tight end.
And then my quarterback decided to shit the bed all year. Although...
Wasn't it multiple first rounds, Red Zone?
2 of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he looks like he's worth it.
Well, we're going to find out this year because I pretty much scrapped last year's playbook and we're going back to what I know has worked in the past.
I love the Lombardo pick at 2, the second round. I really like that pick.
I hope so because I'm getting tired of Brady Ladner, and if he doesn't do anything this year, we're going to need somebody else. He's not got a whole lot of rope left. I'm not so bold as to start a rookie and just trade Ladner off, but we get 3 or 4 weeks in the season and I don't like what's going on. Don't be surprised if there's a change.
Hey, and if he's going to do the same thing and throw the same amount of interceptions, you might as well keep the rookie in then, if you're both going to get the same value.
Well, it's going to depend what he does preseason week 2. And it's going to depend, how those bars actually shake out and what he really has. What am I really looking at? Right now, we don't know.
I like how he looks. I mean, if his bars pan out, I mean, this guy is like a B+ in every bar, all the way down to sense rush, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you can get around sense rush like Howie does with a little extra pass protection. So, I mean,
right.
I'm not super concerned about that. It's not a great thing, but it's not something you can't work around. And I don't run an Air Coryell offense either. So, we're going to run the ball. We're going to throw some short passes. We're going to hit you with a deep ball now and again. I think he can run that kind of offense and do very well if he stays where he's at. You know, I mean, I'm concerned. You know, week 2, you don't know what's going to happen. You know, if he drops, 15 points, well, then, he's no longer an option. We're just going to have to see. I'm waiting to see.
But sometimes they drop and then they come back again.
Yeah, and you have to be careful who you let go and how quick these days. Yep, you're right.
I like him too, Lombardo. I like his combine numbers and stuff.
I looked at him, and I looked at the guy that went right after him to Atlanta. Sweendog took Jimmy Seinfeld, and I was kind of waffling back and forth, which one, and Seinfeld has the big sense rush bar.
So but, in my, well, I mean, again, the model's wrong a lot, but my model estimates had Lombardo hitting about 50, which looks like his future estimate on my according to my scout now is 53. So about what my model said. For Seinfeld, I only had him at 39.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, I didn't like Seinfeld.
Wow.
Yeah, what did it for me was I went into the analyzer, and I didn't like the up and down bars that Seinfeld had. I liked the consistent bars that Lombardo had. And I thought, well,
same.
If I'm going to do this, and I'm pretty sure at that point I was pretty sure I was going to, I said, we're going to go with this guy and take our lumps. I felt like he was the more consistent up and down the board guy. So that's why I did that. I looked at Seinfeld real hard. And I'll be honest, I looked at the other guy that went, where did he go? Number 3, Shea? Is that his name? I kind of liked Lombardo just as much or better than him. So
you mean
I don't know.
Owen Bank? Oh, number 3. Third
1-3 in this one. Yeah. The 3rd overall pick.
Oh, the 3rd overall pick. Okay. Shea O'Connor.
Yeah. Connor Shea. Same thing. You got some up and down bars. I mean, I'd rather have the consistency and know that, the guy's going to be solid across the board. I mean, that's just me. I felt like, once we drafted him, I was nervous, and then a couple people came on and said, hey, I like the pick. And I'm like, well, good. I'm not the only one. And then you start looking and digging a little deeper. I'm like, well, if I get lucky, this guy could turn out to be the top QB in the draft. So, I need preseason week 2. I need to see where he really ends up. And again, I'm going to need next year's preseason week 2 to really get comfortable. Look at what we're talking about with your QB, Clay. I mean, what if his combines drop?
I
could be in the same boat.
I still have faith in my QB. I really do. He put up good numbers for me. For a rookie, I can't complain. And so I see potential in him. Yes, I'm disappointed that his combine scores went down, but the way the system, it seems like it goes up and down, and maybe it's going to find its way to the right sweet spot, and I'll know probably by the 3rd year if he is my quarterback or not. Right now, I believe he is. So, well, you're a guy at Lombardo. If Wagner doesn't do it for you by the 6th or 7th game, you might as well throw in the rookie.
It'll be quicker than that.
Okay, because that's what I did with Forrest. He was throwing too many interceptions. I'm like, if my rookie's going to throw the same amount of interceptions, I might as well just put the rookie in.
With the offense I'm building, the playbook is just about done. I need to go through and weed out some of the excess garbage and make sure that it's tweaked right to the point where I want it. But, I mean, I'm ready pretty much to send that file now. In another hour or so, it'll be on the, once we get done with this show, if I spend an hour on it, it'll be on the internet. It'll be on the site. If Ladner can't run that, then I can't.
What offense are you running?
Actually, I started to go, this is what I do. I get, for lack of a better way of putting it, I get a bug up my ass, and I decide that I want to do something, and I take it to an extreme. So I had gone so far as to build a playbook that was all Earhart Perkins. And I talked to T-Zac on Slack one night. And we were just talking, and I said, I've been messing with my playbook for a long time, and I keep screwing around, and I think I'm making it worse. I said, I'm not looking for the keys to the kingdom here, but can you point me down the right road and at least tell me what to look for? I'll go do the work, but give me a tip, a point, or something. Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Throw me a bone.
We talked. Say what?
Throw me a bone.
Yeah. And we talked for a couple minutes, and he asked me a couple questions, and I happened to mention that the book I was working on was all Erhard Perkins, and he said, "Well, I think that's part of your problem." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You need all of the different styles in your playbook." He said, "You can't take Air Coryell and dumb it down to Erhard Perkins and think it's going to be as successful just because you held a guy into block." He said, "You can't take a spread play and dumb it down to Erhard Perkins and think it's going to be as good as it was in spread." He said, "You're going to get certain plays will give you that bonus point because it's running from the same style as your coordinator." He said, "And others may not." He says, "But the plays have to make sense. They have to work, and you need all of them." He said, "If they're all Erhard Perkins, then aren't you already coming right out the gate with familiars because everything's Erhard Perkins all game long?" So I had to go back and pull out something else that I'd been working on and finish that. And I'm confident it's an Erhard Perkins coordinator, but the book's going to have a little bit of everything. The one thing is that not all four, I guess, most of the plays that are passing plays are going to be either best fit or solid to either Erhard Perkins, spread, or West Coast. All three of them will either be solid or best fit, probably 90% of the plays. So I'm confident it'll work for any of those coordinators, and I'm hopeful that Ladner will come back to life with it. But if he doesn't, it won't take very long for me to know. 3-4 games.
Well, I like your cornerback that you got in the fourth, Ford, and your linebacker you also got in the fourth round.
Well, Ford, I wasn't sure what to do there, and he had those return bars, and I'm like, I could use a return guy. I mean, and I could use a corner too. So I'm like, that kind of fills two needs. That wasn't real tough to take. The linebacker was a little tougher decision, but the zone bar did it for me. I've got to have that zone bar in the defenses I run, and he has it. So if that holds, yeah, they could both turn out. I mean, they look okay so far. The picks after that, I don't think amounted to much.
Well, it's going to be fun playing you this season.
Yeah.
Well,
we didn't do so hot last year.
I need a receiver. My receivers are getting old.
I saw that.
And there weren't many receivers, as we all know, in the draft. And I believe T-Zac picked before me as well. And he picked up Donald Wilkinson. So I went for route running. He's got a high soul.
Well, let me tell you something, Clay.
And his position is very high as well. What's that?
He's got high route running, but he also has got high get downfield and high big play receiving.
Correct. That was another reason why I liked him.
And high endurance.
Yes.
His avoid drops is pretty solid. Third down is pretty solid. It's not great. It's in the middle there. You're hoping it's on the high end of that blue bar, but I mean, it's looking like 50 or better.
I'm hoping it goes higher, but yes.
Runs a 4.3940 with a nice high bench, good size. I think you hit a home run there. What's XCOM? What do you think?
Yeah, so I tried to trade up for Wilkerson. I really like Wilkerson, but that's not a slight at Musiala. I would have definitely taken Musiala, however you pronounce it. So the top three receivers, Bracken, Wilkerson, and Musiala. I'm just looking now. So the overall ratings, I've got listed at 58 for Bracken, 61 for Wilkerson, and 54 for Musiala. But I find those a bit less reliable than these percentage chances over that I produce with a different model. And basically, those three guys, I've got them all at about 65% chance of being over 60 each. They're all very similar. So yeah, I like Musiala a lot. He's looking now. He's I think my scout's saying he's 63, which sounds about right to me. I could see him landing there, definitely. Seems like good value where you play him, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, my thing, I definitely want a route running. Big play receiving is huge, and his endurance. So I needed that to with my team because most of my receivers, they're in that same realm. I picked up this guy in free agency, which was a great catch.
I'll
Zimmer
bet you I know.
has always been hot for me.
I'll bet you I know who else really likes that receiver, Musial.
Who's that?
Edwin McConnell. You want to talk about a way to offset a drop in combines? Throw a stud receiver out there for him to throw to.
Yeah, we're going to see more.
Wow.
I'm thinking about it his third year. Like I said, he wasn't that bad. He threw 64% of his passes, 3,400 yards. He only played 13 games, a 7.19 average per attempt. His interceptions touchdown ratio was a rookie type thing, so I think it'll be a lot better. I can see him throwing 27 touchdowns this year.
Yeah,
So
he doesn't look bad.
yeah. So my team, like we were talking about, I left my core players did stay, and I signed more of them to longer extensions. My line, I really wanted to focus on as well. So I wanted to get more. There was one spot I was a little hesitant about, but I think we have it solved. Defense, we kept it all.
Well, Blake looks pretty decent.
What's
round
that?
5 tackle. The tackle you took in round 5, Blake looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I
Help
like
your
him
line.
too.
So everybody I picked up were backups. So that's how I looked at, except for, of course, the wide receiver. Everyone else was considered a backup pickup. And that's how I centered around all these picks. Like this guy, I wanted a pass rusher, you know. And he's got a little bit of endurance and stuff, but he's going to be a backup player. I picked up this cornerback who has good bars. I don't know where it's going to fall, but let's see. He's more
Yeah,
of a
it's
nickel.
early.
He's more of a nickel player. That's how I'm looking at him, as a nickel. So
It's really tough to rate a draft before preseason week 2 anymore. You
you
don't
don't
know
know.
exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's such a crazy difference between, because I hadn't realised this until we started multiplayer. I'd never even picked up on it. There's such a difference between exhibition and pre-exhibition and week 2. It's huge.
Yes. Oh, and also I let him go young, the running back, red zone, because I have Benson. Like I said, Benson put up, what was it? I think he put up 1,600 yards or something like that for me, total yards, with 6 touchdowns, the same as what Young would have done for me. And I got him in the 7th round, this person, and look at his contract. It's
Yeah.
nothing compared to $20 million a year that Young wanted from me.
And wasn't worth.
No. And my team is not really a running team. My team is mostly passing. So, yes. So I'm very happy with the draft. I'm very happy that I plugged in some holes. There is one thing I wanted to get. There was a tight end. But, of course, it wasn't going to fall to me. But outside of that, I think we can be. I think we could be very competitive.
I like the receiver pick.
Yep, they look pretty good.
That's
Usually it was going to be a
I
stud.
didn't have a first round pick, so I didn't pay much attention to round 1. And you slipped one in there on me. I didn't see you get him. I just saw him now. I had no idea.
Yeah, especially in this league. Like, it's so hard to get a decent receiver.
It is. It totally is. Unless you're like number one, like Mech moved up for this guy, correct?
I believe.
Yeah, he did.
Who had the 1-1 pick? That got out of that pick.
That was Colorado.
Yeah, Pizer.
Pfizer.
Pizer's a good GM. Look out. It won't be long. He'll have Colorado
Yeah,
running.
he's good.
But Mech, who's in our division, Red Zone, he's been putting together a team.
Well,
Yeah, he got.
we all picked him last year, and he only missed the playoffs by one game, right?
What's that?
We all picked him last year, and he only missed the playoffs by one game, right? So, I mean, he's doing something right.
Yes, he is. How come? What's the name of his team again?
Arizona.
Why am I?
Yeah, why was I blanking on that? Yeah, he's got Spencer.
He got a couple of wide receivers.
Did he re-sign Spencer?
In the first round?
He got his. It's Brecken here, and then his other wide receiver.
Dante Allen.
There you go.
Hey, XCOM, what did you have Dante Allen rated?
So I've got him as 49. 49 with a 38% chance of breaking 50. So yeah, not anywhere near Bracken. But I think in my list at least, like those top three receivers were definitely a big step above the rest. Yeah. Those three were kind of all pretty similar, and then there was a pretty big drop off after that.
Red Zone, yeah, he did sign him. He's got 3 years on him.
Yep. He's done that a couple years in a row because, I looked at him in free agency and I thought, nah, you can't do that. I could save a ton of money, pick him up at, what do you get him for, about $8 million a year? Let Ladner go?
Yeah, $8 million. Not bad.
I was tempted, you're talking about 60 versus 8. There's a little cap room, huh? But I didn't. I decided not to. Nah.
This player represents one of the interesting things in the game to me, in that you can have a quarterback that can throw it all over the field, but can't throw a screen pass.
Yeah, that's
that would never happen in the NFL.
No, that's a little hard to figure out.
This one right here.
Yeah, zero screen, and that's a big chunk of my offense. I don't think I could work around that.
What I'm very key on for me is right here, accurate and timing. I need something there. Other people can play without that. I like to have something there. I'm one or the other. But his team, yeah, he's been building it. He's got wide receivers. He's going to do something with his quarterback. Well, it's going to be interesting seeing how he plays out in our league, in our division, Red Zone.
Yeah, lots of nice linebacker picks as well in there.
And you, XCOM, you have North Plainfield, who has the best defense always every year. Rochester, who I think is a rising competitor because he's been putting together a good roster as well. And then you have Toronto with their rookie quarterback that he got 1-1 for. I'd like to see how his quarterback played out, by the way, Toronto's.
Oh, yeah, we're in trouble, yeah. Definitely in trouble.
I mean, he had a good team before the quarterback. I mean, that was just the missing piece.
Yeah,
and then get one that good.
It's funny. Like at the time, I definitely wouldn't have traded what Kodos traded. In hindsight, I would definitely trade what Kodos had traded.
Yeah, I had no concept of what it would take to land a guy like that. So, I'm in the same boat.
Well, there's not very many people that can throw 4 first-rounders into a trade offer.
I'm completely out of this trade thing because I would have only given 2 first rounds and everyone else would have been laughing at me. Like when I saw what he gave, I'm like, wow. I'm like way behind. I'm still in the caves on this then.
Yeah, same.
I got to get my speed up. But yeah, he's worth it.
Well,
Look at him.
Yeah,
look at the
absolutely.
guy.
The problem is, I don't like red flag players. I still
Well, that's
think
yeah.
that red flag players represents a player will play very good one time to its ratings, and then next time it will not. And Jugs mentioned something like that as well.
Well, let's see.
So, if that is the case,
He started out slow. His second, third, and fourth games were pretty bad QBRs. And then the seventh game wasn't great. The ninth game wasn't fantastic. The 10th was fair. But he finished out with 5 in a row that were decent. I mean, he beat Oakland, lost to San Antonio. He beat Fairbanks, beat North Plainfield, beat Colorado, and beat Rochester. He went 4-1 out of those 5 games, and the lowest QBR was 77.
no, don't get me wrong. I could be completely wrong when I'm talking about it and talking out of my ass.
Well, I'm
However,
just saying,
there's
see last season. We don't know next season. He might do exactly what you're saying, back and forth, one game to the next. But it doesn't look like it. Looks like he played like a rookie the first 5 or 6 weeks, and then kind of woke up.
The reason why we brought that up is because of Howie's team, Texas, and this is why.
Now. Yeah. Well, what did he do? Let's pull him up.
His season his careers has been up and down. Now, is it the game planning? Is it the red flag?
Well, let's pull up last season.
I think he gets sacked.
Oh yes,
I think he gets sacked.
he does.
See, Clay, if you pull up his games, game by game breakdown, he did the direct opposite. He started out really good. His last 5 games, 6 games,
Give it.
64, 58, 58, 52, 47 QBRs.
I'm not getting his games. His games are not coming up on my screen. Oh, here we go. Okay.
I mean, if you look at the last 5 or 6 games, he had 2 good ones, but the other 4 weren't very good at all. And I mean, he did pretty much what we're talking about, as far as a red flag guy. I mean, he started out, look at the top of the year.
Yeah.
He started out really good first 6 or 8 weeks, 9 weeks.
Howie has a hard time with his linemen, keeping Vitale upright. I think that factors in there.
Well, we talked about that on the one show. I don't know if it's one that didn't get recorded or not, but I asked him, I said, have you stopped and actually looked at your O-line, because they're all run blockers. They're not pass blockers.
True. Good point.
I mean, if you're going to throw the ball like he throws it, you have to get some pass blockers and forget about the run blockers, or start running more and make his life easier that way.
XCOM, who do you think is a threat in your division to you? Mostly.
I mean, I think the biggest is going to be Toronto for the time being. They won last year, and I mean, so since I joined, I won the first year 10-6, and we had a pretty good season. And then the next 2 seasons, no one in the league really stood out, including us. So we won both. I think, I'm pretty sure. I'll just check, but I think we won division both years, 8-8.
Mm-hmm.
Just double checking.
You did.
So yeah, so I was okay. So I think Toronto's a team to beat at the minute, just based on the fact that they've just come off 11 wins, and the rest of us all seem to be pretty much down the line for the time being. So unless somebody else breaks out and proves otherwise, I guess Toronto's a team to beat for now.
That QB may put him in control of that division for a long time.
Yeah, I was just looking. I think he's 22 years old, which is not ideal.
You need a career ender.
Yeah. He's going to invest in loads of defensive ends.
Put some bounty out.
Well,
exactly. Yeah.
Looking at your team, you put up points. You put up 353 points. You just gave up a lot of points.
Yeah, and I think so. It's one of those things where this draft I was hoping to fix that, and the pictures never landed the way I was hoping they would. So we're pretty weak at safety. especially. We've sort of just got a load of average-looking talent, so we're kind of deep, but nobody's actually all that good. But yeah, no, I agree. We need to try and sort that out. Defensively, not being great, and the other one that really hurt us, I think I mentioned it earlier, but we get a lot of yards. But I think if I just pull up the team statistics, so I'm not looking at your screen at the minute, just looking at my own. But if I just pull up the team statistics and go to passing offense for last year,
sure.
So we were 7th, I think, in total passing yards. But then in terms of points,
yeah,
I think we were lower than this in points. I think it's kind of just a running theme all along that Joyner seems to get the yards, but we're just not scoring the points.
Oh, if we go in the red zone for you,
scoring also 15th in the league. So yeah, red zone and goal line.
So your 5.0, it's not that bad. Points per visit. You brought the ball down 46 times into the red zone. You put it in 24 times for touchdowns, 21 for field goals for 5.0. Tucker's 5.7. So you can gauge yourself based upon that. You want to be in the 5s or high 5s. So it's not that bad on scoring. Your defense, let's see where your defense was at. 4.7 against you. They must be scoring from far away on you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And then the other way, I wonder if we're just interceptions in big moments, something like that. Sort of when we're getting, not sure. Probably need to do a little bit more digging into that. But yeah, I think I'm pretty sure our points per game wasn't lining up, at least for most of the season. I think we maybe caught up a bit towards the end, but yeah, don't know. I still feel like we've got a pretty mediocre team. I don't feel like we've made much improvement this year. A lot of it was filling holes from retirements and guys getting old, that kind of thing over the last year or two. So yeah, I think this is probably the first season I've gone into where I've been just not really very optimistic. But maybe that's just nonsense. I don't know.
I know Haynes feels optimistic moving forward. Haynes, who's your threat?
All of them.
That was going to be my answer.
Yeah.
You have 3 people in the division besides yourself. They're all a threat.
They're all close.
Yeah, and every team in the division, I mean, I look at Cap City roster. I look at Moontown's roster. I look at Texas roster. They've all got really good players.
But no one in that division you feel is on a decline because their players got older, and then you can say to yourself, okay, they're going to fall down. They need to rebuild. I just have to worry about this team right here.
You know, in terms of age and decline, I think Cap City is on the upswing. I think Moontown's on the upswing. I think Howie's probably, in terms of aging players, he may be in the lead there, but you can't discount him in the division race because of that. Howie knows what he's doing. He's paying attention. So, I made the playoffs and went, even 50-50 with everybody in my division. And I think it's going to be the same thing this year. I don't think, I don't think I'm going to run away with the division. I think it's going to be neck and neck. I don't think anybody's going to run away with it.
Yeah, you were 7-1 at home. Very hard to beat you at home. That's for sure.
Yeah, I had a good run at home, and that was my saving grace. And I can attribute a lot of that to my defense. My defense has been solid. I got a middle linebacker that is my best pass defender. He gets interceptions and pick sixes. I think for me that's been the difference. And if we can do that same thing again, I think we can do pretty well. I don't think my team got that better in the draft. And for me, that's actually good because my goal. I revamped my offense and receiving core over the last couple of years, and I had ended up with the worst cohesion. So my goal was not to mess too much with the offense, so my cohesion could go up. And I think, I have the players that I need. If I can get that to continue to, go up, I think I'll do fine offensively. But remains to be seen. We'll see.
Yeah, your passing is at the bottom. Your offensive line is much better. It's excellent.
Yeah.
So I'll just do this. You are here. Very good and good in your secondary. It's funny because you put up 356. XCOM put up 353. So about the same. But you held people to 314 points. If XCOM could have done that, he could have probably been at the same record as you. And that's all it would have taken for his team. Because your defense,
now you're giving me hope.
Your defense was solid. Yeah, if you look at it, because if you look at your other team in that conference where you are XCOM, if you have 314 points, you help people, you're up at the top. Like I look at Chicago, red zone. He had 271 points, but his defense was 331. If he could have reversed that, he probably would have won our division, most likely. I know red zone was kicking himself because his team couldn't score. So.
I think red zone's the division sleeper.
Yes, we thought he was going to be taking the division this season.
Don't say that.
I'm not going to say it now. But yes, we thought he was going to take the division by 2 games. That was my prediction. No,
look at the first 3 games last year. Lost 17-14, lost 17-10, and lost 19-11. Now, you know what? You can talk to a lot of people. Everybody thinks that they can do certain things in this game. I expect my offense to score. When I hold you to 20 points or less, I think we should win that game. So when it's 19, 17, and 17 and we're 0-3, I'm beating my head against the wall. I mean, we're not going to do much better than that on defense, and we lost all 3 games. I mean, you have to score points, and we just did not. We started 0-3 and never got out of that hole.
Yes, and that one that you lost 6-13.
Yeah. You have. I held you to 13 points, and still lost. Okay, I don't know what to say to that. We lost 30-27 to Julio, and that was with the backup QB. I sat Ladner down. I mean, the backup went in and scored 27 points. Figure that out.
You can't.
There are no answers. That playbook's gone, and we'll move on.
Oh, that's the fun part about this game, is that you learn from our mistakes, hopefully we think, and we do something different. And then when it doesn't work again, you want to throw your computer out the window and start all over again.
And some people make it look so easy.
Yes.
For some people, it is that easy. They've got
Exactly.
a playbook they've settled on. They've got game plans that are saved. They've been using for 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. I mean, talk to Ben or T-Zac and ask them. I'm sure they have a library of game plans.
Now, you guys, XCon and Hayes, do you put things in single play and play out your game plans and see if they work, and then throw them back into your online?
No, so I haven't been, but I'm starting to think I should.
I do, to the extent that I use single player to create the game plan and test it, not for win loss, but more, pass to run ratio and short
Targets.
pass to medium to long pass ratios. That's what I use it for.
Got it. Yeah, I practice in single play with certain game plans. And Red Zone, you mentioned something. I also do that too. I mix up my game plan. I don't use everything as a West Coast. I mix it up between West Coast and the other playbooks as well.
That's why I run a balanced offense, a balanced OC. I can just blend it all together, find plays that I like that work. And
All right, guys. I guess we can close it out here.
nice talk, guys.